Yeah, that would help, wouldn't it?
We're recording now. Yeah, we were just talking for a little while by ourselves there, but we're okay. Everything's good. We got lots of fun stuff to talk about today. We have Dan Petru, who's a normal, a regular on the HockeyBuzzCast, but also kind of, in full disclosure, tied in with the Major League Baseball Network. So he has, as a producer and director, yeah,
yep,
assistant director, and he's got an Emmy to show for it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I do.
He's directing UAC.
Oh boy, gotta stop that. 1 second, timeout. Boy, oh boy, I am. There we stop. Hold on. Sorry. We'll be there in a second. We gotta hear this twice.
We need the proper direction.
I know. If we had a person like Dan Petru running this show, this would never happen.
That's exactly right.
Instead of me running the show.
Or there'd be color bars on there.
Right, instead of me running the show. Right now, we need like a guy like sweeping the ice saying, "We'll be right back."
Use our technical.
All right, here it goes. We're doing the show early today. I'm getting back consulted on my back preparation. I'm thinking of having my back removed completely. So I don't know what that'll make me. It probably make me very two-dimensional, but I think that I could try to see what happens. But I've been in back pain for.
Without a backbone, that means you're a Democratic presidential candidate.
You would be like the Black Knight from Monty Python. That's what you would be.
Yeah, right. All I can say, Mike, is you're fired. That's my comeback. So hey, for the Republican Party. All right, here we go.
Debate tonight.
It's tonight,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Not that I'm not really big into politics, but I just think for Donald Trump, I just think the comedy factor is going to be hilarious.
It's got to be must-see TV at this point. I mean, it is so unbelievable that Colbert and Jon Stewart aren't going to be able to really comment on this, like, aren't around.
Thank God for John Oliver.
Right, John Oliver. He is really good. His show is really good.
Yeah, we can listen to Rush Limbaugh every morning.
Who would do that?
God. Holy cow. Excuse me while I... All right, let's start the show. I had to listen to Rush Limbaugh an entire summer when I was driving around the elderly for a job I had when I was in college at one point. And so I listened to Rush every day, along with Dr. Laura.
No, I'm not going there. That's a bridge too far for me.
Well, I actually like Dr. Laura more than Rush. So how about that?
That's
oh man, yeah, that's something. All right, here we go. That's a great way to start the show.
It's nothing but up from here.
Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, August 4th, 2015.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sports Island.
I'm Dan Petru.
And I am Eklund, and that's why Dan is a pro. Dan knew he was going to wait and let Russ go.
Not my first rodeo.
It's not your first rodeo. And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast where we come to you Monday through Friday around 1 o'clock, or 12 o'clock as today is because of my back stuff, and also because of breaking news to a degree. We want to talk. We have something to discuss today. Thank God for that. Or else I don't know what we would have talked about. But we're gonna get into a couple things today. One Jonathan Quick had a really cool article that we're gonna talk about snipers in the NHL. And hopefully we'll get rid of this echo at some point. You know what I do, guys, and I change. If you ever watched the show, the way I change the echo around. And right now, let's just have you guys log out and log in, okay? Because it's horrible. So for those of you watching the show, you'll know what I do is I figured out that sometimes the echo can be fixed by switching camera views. So that's why you'll see just cameras go all over the place sometimes. So I apologize for that. What I'm trying to do is get rid of the echo. I don't know if it really works or not, but sometimes it seems to work. So here we go. We're back now. So I was telling people that sometimes to get rid of the echo, I change camera views. I'll go to Mike and Dan, and I'll just rip through all of us quickly. And sometimes that kills the echo for some reason. You guys would never notice it because you're probably not seeing that angle.
Actually, when you switch cameras, sometimes I think the echo gets worse. The picture gets blurry. It drops out of HD, and the echo gets worse. It's on my end. So
other than that, it's great though.
Other than that, it works pretty good. Yeah, thanks, Google. I know. Well, I'm holding the duct tape today for a specific reason.
Are we reviewing Anaheim?
No, as we know with the HockeyBuzzCast, that the duct tape means something. You have to go back in time, but I'm not going to tell you why. So news today breaking out is that the NHL has contracted with and is going to be having a press conference later today at 3 o'clock for, that's not a good sentence, but they're going to be working with Major League Baseball. And the idea here is in the streaming aspects and also more, apparently. And we can't, and now, on full disclosure, Dan works for Major League Baseball, as we said, so he can't really tell us all that he knows. But he can sort of discuss. We're not going to get Dan in trouble because he's been.
Well, I can read the release from Sports Business
Let's read the release
Journal.
and start there, and then we can talk a little bit about what I know, and then and Dan can talk a little bit about just the differences between Major League Baseball and the NHL network, which is it's important right now because this does play into effect. So Mike, what's the release exactly?
Okay, the NHL has signed a 6-year partnership with MLB AM in which they. And that's baseball's overall media division, will now operate the NHL's digital operations, streaming services, and NHL network. The deal is valued at approximately $1.2 billion over the 6 years, so that's $200 million per season spread out among the 30 teams. Over the course of the contract, it will give the league a 7 to 10% equity stake in MLB AM. It's a third-party business, and they will take over operations of the websites of all the teams, all mobile applications, Game Center Live, and it says MLB is also in process of securing strategic investors to help accelerate the growth of MLB AM tech. So it sounds like they're taking over most of the aspects of the NHL's digital operations.
Right, and this is a big deal. I mean, this is a big deal, and will affect a lot of people, a lot of our friends that work at it. And now, hearing the release is a little bigger than I thought it was, too. This will affect all the people working at NHL at team websites, I'm assuming. So as this goes along, that'll play into it as well. There's a lot of people we know that work at team websites. Major League Baseball has done a really good job. Dan pointed out earlier in the pre-show, there's something they have that the NHL doesn't have. What is that, Dan, exactly? A couple of these.
A lot of these.
A lot.
That's what they're going to bring to the NHL.
And that's a real Emmy, guys. That's not just a fake Emmy that I sent Russ and Mike earlier this year. That's a real Emmy. They have a lot of those, and they've done a really good job.
No one needs to know that I've lost 29 times and only won 3, but that's okay.
That's the chocolate Emmy, just so you know.
Yeah, right. It's not like my
professional Cadbury Easter eggs and stuff in there.
My professional podcaster award for last year. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. This is just a prop from Home Goods. There you go.
But no, seriously, they really pride themselves on putting out compelling programming, and I think they've done a great job advancing Major League Baseball over the years. If you look at the 4 networks, they're by far the most stable. They're in the most homes. And they, like I said, those Emmys that they're winning, they're beating out the likes of Fox. They're beating out NHL. Yeah. They're beating out NHL. They're beating out ESPN. They're beating out the networks, ABC, NBC Sports. They're doing some really good work there, and this is going to be really, really good for the National Hockey League.
I don't want to be left out here. I do have a bowling trophy.
Yeah.
Something else that they do that, like the NHL Network never really embraced, is that they show movies.
Right.
At downtime, they'll show some baseball movies, and the NHL could learn something from that. Obviously now MLB will be doing it, but that's a great way to fill time too. Like late night when there isn't a show,
they actually get good ratings too.
Yeah. And a classic hockey movie. That's great.
Yeah.
Another thing too is the reason why they show movies is because when Fox has a nationally televised game or ESPN has a nationally televised game, they own those 2 hours. So it's kind of like, well, what are we going to do? We got to put some kind of programming on. So they decided to put on classic baseball movies, and it works. Like,
I'm going
to watch it.
It makes the MLB network a destination. I mean, the NHL network for me is not in my favorite channels, except for I'm going to watch NHL tonight. I'm going to watch I watch the morning show. I will go there obviously when there's a game on, but I won't just say, hey, what's on the NHL network in the middle of the day. That's not something I would necessarily do. Right now, there's a lot of infomercials on there.
Right, and I think that's part of the problem too. It's like I was talking to some colleagues at work, and I said, look, you cannot BS the hockey fan.
Right.
You know, unlike Major League Baseball, unlike other sports, like I'm a casual baseball fan. I like the sport. I'm not a diehard. I pop on the network here and there. I check into the NFL network here and there, but I am a diehard hockey fan. There's no such thing as a casual hockey fan. Either you love the sport or you don't. And if you love the sport, you're going to the NHL network, and you cannot be fooled. You cannot be fooled by the programming, and the programming needs to get better.
Yeah,
It
but
does.
truthfully,
Yeah.
truthfully, how many times can we watch Mystery Alaska and Ice Castles with Robbie Benson?
There's a lot of movies. Don't worry
Plenty of
about
movies.
that. There's a lot more than you think. But, the other thing is, as far as the team website thing goes, it's come a long way. Like, I used to write for NHL.com, and I've gotten articles up on team websites back in the day. And I think it's been progressing, but it probably hasn't been progressing fast enough. And I think now it will. And I think it's not just about content, because I will say this about the MLB website. They're not afraid to have something like an opposing opinion in an article, and that I can appreciate, because sometimes when you go to NHL.com, it's a little too flowery.
Right.
And the actual websites for the particular teams. You're never going to find anything really critical about the team on their own website. It's going to be positive. It's going to be looking forward to the future. It's not going to be critical of the way the team has been playing. And I understand that, but I think for the respect and for the fan who wants critical analysis, they want that opposing viewpoint every once in a while.
Yep.
Oh, I agree. I agree completely. I think that I will say this. I think that I'm not too. One of the things that personally, from my perspective, I'm not thrilled about is the fact that MLB does a better job of reporting rumors than NHL Network does. I mean, the NHL websites in general, you will not see a rumor on an NHL website. It's very rare that, and if you see a rumor on an NHL website, you just assume that it's done. The weird thing about this, though, is the kind of reporters and this is the biggest difference, I think, between these, and this is what's going to be most fascinating. MLB reporters, people who cover baseball teams, I've talked to them, they know everything that's happening with that baseball team.
Everything.
Beyond and
Rosenthal.
Right. These guys, they know what trades are being. They know it's not even a round of rumors. They know exactly what's happening. They are, because Major League Baseball does a good, and they have a tradition of these managers talking to the reporters and saying you can't discuss this, and it's very. The off-the-record thing is very big in baseball, where in hockey they literally won't talk to you about it, and you get off-the-record things occasionally. But and most of this is just from the fact that these guys travel with the team every single day, right? 120 games or whatever they play in baseball. I'm sorry, I don't know, but
162.
162 games. Sorry, yeah. So I mean that's a lot of games, right? So that's a lot of times when then that's a lot of times for these reporters to sit there and a lot of downtime. There's a lot of downtime in baseball. So these guys, they sit there and they talk to these guys, so they know stuff. Now, that rumors that come out in baseball, they're always interesting because of that reason. I've always been under the assumption with NHL websites that that you're not going to see rumors because they are kind of controlled by the teams. The teams aren't going to let rumors out there. In fact, so much so that we had a big fight one time. Russell would know this. I'm not going to tell the team that's involved with this, but you can probably figure it out. About something that happened. Where a reporter for that team was claiming to have broken we'll call it a trade. It wasn't a trade, but he was claiming to have broken a trade. And I had the debate with this person that you can't break a trade if you work for the team. You are putting out a press release if you work for the team. That's the difference, right? Where you might be the first person to report it, but if you're working for the team, you can't break it. Major League Baseball seems to have found a way around that. I'm not quite sure. Do you have any idea, Dan, what that is? Or they seem to have found this gray area somehow.
There's an off-the-record relationship with general managers and beat writers.
Yeah.
And because they have that scrum every day, and it's an off-the-record agreement, and it's been going on for 50, 60, 70 years. And the baseball writers have done a great job of kind of honoring that tradition. Here's what you can say. Just leave me out of it.
Right.
They do a really good job of wording it, and so when John Heyman says the Padres might trade up, then they're shopping him. It's really happening. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, or actually like the thing that came out that the Padres could have had one of the Yankees' top prospects for Kimbrel, and they didn't make that deal. And now Padre fans are killing the Padres for not making that deal because Kimbrel's going to walk at the end of the year, and they could have had a really good young infielder from the Yankees as a rental. So there's some transparency there too that I think that you see that. But the big thing is, I feel like at times, like, look, the Islanders only have one beat reporter.
Right.
They only have one, and I feel like Garth Snow uses him as a puppet sometimes to feed him information.
For sure.
You know, not always stuff that's going to happen. Just like when, and I love Arthur Staple. I think he does great work. But when he wrote a story saying that Poso was being shopped, that's the first tangible rumor he's had in like 3 or 4 years. So you know exactly where that came from.
Yeah.
You know where that came from. He was being used.
Well, one of the things I like about what MLB does, especially watching the trade deadline coverage on the 31st, was you had Rosenthal, you had Joel Sherman. I believe all three of them have other gigs besides MLB.com.
Yep,
Rosenthal works for
Gucci. All of them have. All of them do multiple things.
Right. So you're gonna have somebody who is not completely and wholly dependent on MLB.com for their compensation and for they have the freedom to go out and say what they know because they work for other sources. They're not under control because it's just working for MLB.com. So I think that's to the benefit of the fan who's watching the broadcast and who wants the most information they can possibly get.
It's not even just the reporters too. A lot of us who work for the network, for Major League Baseball Network, we do other things. I do this. I can tell you right now, the director of the New York Islanders broadcast, the director of the New Jersey Devils broadcast, they both directed MLB. The stage manager of the New York Rangers, he stage manages at MLB. We have some former producers from the NHL who work there. The game's going to be in really good hands, is what I can tell you. Anybody watching right now who's skeptical, we're going to treat it really good.
Yeah, I believe that too. I think it's going to be, and a couple of technical things. First of all, the streaming aspect of this in general is really interesting because anybody who's an HBO fan or Game of Thrones fans remembers a couple of years ago the disaster that happened when Game of Thrones had their season premiere and everybody was going to HBO Go and everybody was streaming and there were parties happening and the thing collapsed. It was kapooey, went kapooey, and HBO from that point forward vowed to never have that happen again. And the way they did that was by giving MLB, basically by contracting out to MLB the ability to stream these things. Streaming is still an infant in its infantry stages right now as a technology. It's not. I mean, it's gotten way better, but we're still very early on in the whole phase of things because so many people there's so many different things that can mess up a stream. When you're watching Netflix, there's so many things that can go wrong. Just if you're watching Netflix, for example, and I mean, beyond getting into a huge net neutrality debate, which I love to do, but that's for another podcast at a different time or a different show. Some of these MLB seems to have figured out something. They seem to have figured out a secret sauce here that gets this stuff working and flawlessly. And anyone who watches Game Center knows that they do a pretty good job streaming the NHL. I mean, there's a couple issues that I have with Game Center that I think that they need to work on. One of the biggest ones is if you stream on an iPad and you get updates on an iPad, you will actually be told before a goal happens from an update from NHL.com as you're watching the game. That kind of thing is a pain in the neck. But
that's because, and this is my main complaint with this Game Center Live, is and I have the Center Ice package, and I had a free preview for Game Center Live, and just out of curiosity, I watched the same game on both feeds.
Yeah.
And Game Center Live was 45 seconds behind the live feed off of cable.
I'm pretty sure there's some legal issues around that. I think there's a specific reason why it's delayed.
There is a delay. There is a legal issue. There also, and because it's true with MLB, correct? It's the same.
I don't have extra innings, but I'm pretty sure that's a 30-second delay.
Yeah, because I know
for a fact when we do certain. Okay, I'm gonna pull. I am Oz right now. I am pulling off the green curtain. People, when you're watching the NFL Red Zone, 10% of that is live. Almost all of it is on like a 30-second delay, or it just happened, or we have these things called EBSs, which are basically TiVos on crack, and we can set in points. We can set in points as soon as the quarterback is ready to snap that ball and go to it. So so much of it is actually live. And usually when it is, you see a little live bug. If you don't see a live puck, it's on a little bit of a delay.
But
so I think contractually there are some reasons why they can't be live all the time.
Right, but the thing is, for my purposes, when I'm not able to get to a game in Toronto,
right,
I can't be 45 seconds late to say, oh, Joffrey Lupul scores, because then everybody else will have said Joffrey Lupul scores, and you have to be up to the second when it comes to interacting with social.
I just don't know if that's something that's feasible. Actually, more accurately, would probably say Joffrey Lupul got hurt.
Right. Well, true.
I got a couple things. I could tell you, Eck, that in the early goings of podcasting, which we used to just call it internet radio.
Yeah, you were.
There used to be a formula that, like Real Player, if you remember Real Audio and Real Video,
they
would send you this packet, and you'd open it up on your email, and if you followed the chart, if you wanted to pay for their service, and this is why I never paid for their service, is because if there were like 5,000 people on at the same time, it would crash. Like that was,
right.
And it went up to like
10,000. They told you exactly what it was. I remember that.
Yeah, and so like, you think to yourself, wow, could we ever have that many concurrent people on? And now obviously the answer is like yes. So,
yeah.
but even like a Yahoo crashed one of their concerts not that long ago, and they lost it.
It's hard stuff. It's hard to do.
It's not simple, and so the fact that they have mastered it is really good. The other thing, though, the challenge that MLB is going to have is with some of the owners who own cable companies not wanting to show HD in the packages, because that's still going to be an issue where I don't believe MLB has that issue. I think everything gets shown in HD, but in the NHL, not everything gets shown in HD.
That's another issue altogether too. There's a lot of this is a great. I was so glad to have the Wizard of Oz Dan today on the show to talk to us about stuff. Honestly, we really don't. I mean,
my friends get so mad at me too. I was like, yeah, that's not live. That happened like.
Yeah, no, I mean it's awesome. I mean,
say this. Why does anybody watch that Red Zone? Who cares? I mean, it's like.
I love it because
really?
for fantasy sports.
I don't want to see every touchdown. I don't care. I don't know.
All right, so there's another thing going on here
too. I really want to watch the Buffalo
this.
Bills, let alone any other NFL team. So
right, so here's the other thing, and this plays along with this, is back in June. There was a big settlement here on the proposed NHL antitrust lawsuit settlement. You remember, guys, hear about this, which brings price changes to Game Center coming up. And this is sort of underplayed, but I've written about it and talked about it too. Basically, the idea is, and there are two sides of this. But next year, you'll be able to buy just your team on NHL Game Center if you want to. And that's a legal thing that they're saying you have to be able to buy that. And that will be, I think it's 80% less or something like that, the cost of full Game Center. So
the settlement was for certain carriers. It was not for
all. Comcast, DirecTV, Madison Square Garden, right? But the reason that it didn't apply in Canada so much was that Canadian networks are already doing. This already happens in Canada in some places.
Right. You can choose a la carte.
Right.
Broadcasting in Canada, I think you can just get Leaf games if you want to. I don't know.
The bad part of this is it didn't do anything for the ridiculous blackout restrictions which still exist. Okay.
They're amazing. They're so bad.
Which is incredible to me that it still exists, and where this exists now more than ever, and this is where Canada's got it way better, because Canada, especially, I know the Canucks or a couple teams last year had this thing where you could, if you bought Game Center, you could watch your home games, or if there was a nationally televised game, you could watch it. It's the same sort of thing.
Well, all the games are on, because Sportsnet has 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different channels, so they can put all of the games on broadcast television, broadcast cable television, if they want to, or it's available that way. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure the specifics of how they're working their
right.
Game Center.
Well, this is everybody trying to get paid. The problem that's what goes on with this, right? I mean, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, well, here's an example. During the MLB and there's a snowstorm, they put us up in the Hyatt down the street, right? So we don't have to drive and travel and whatnot. So if the Islanders are playing, I try and watch it on Game Center. I can't watch it on Game Center. I'm in New Jersey. My hotel doesn't carry MSG Plus or MSG Plus 2, and I can't watch it on Game Center even though I'm away from my house. Now, there's an illegal way around that. If you want to learn, you can DM me on Twitter. But I am not going to say that. But just still, that's what the league needs to. The league needs to clear that up. If you're away from your home, there shouldn't be you should be able to watch your team.
I mean, even the NFL has done away with the blackout. So if the NFL has done away with it, and this is the organization that sometimes seems like they're 50 years behind things on almost everything, then the NHL should do away with it as well.
Well, I have a feeling. I talked to somebody about this today, and they told me that this agreement could lead to this being better. That they're actually that MLB, who doesn't do this well either, and the same kind of issues, right? The same kind of blackouts, from what I understand, right, Dan? I mean, I don't watch.
Not as expansive.
Right. I think the idea here is that MLB realizes it's ridiculous. The NHL realizes that there are, illegal ways to do this. Victor, Peter, Navo. But there's no. I think that there are ways around this. But but I do think that this could be coming to an end, and that what we're seeing right now is everybody trying to get paid. Like, for example, when you're watching Game Center and you see, break, that thing that comes up on the screen, "We'll be right back," commercial break or whatever, that comes up there. I've always been pissed off with that because, why not just show us the commercials that are being shown, right? But the idea there is, of course, they're telling those people you have to pay for those commercials to get them shown on there too.
Right. Well, here's the elephant in the room, though, that hopefully this deal will cure, and it has to do with Game Center, and it has to do with the being away, and it has to do with NBCN. And that is just sometimes you can't get a game because you'll be in a city and they will not have it on their cable channel. Like MLB Network seems to be in every hotel where NBCN is not. And then if I can't get it on Game Center and I can't get it on NBCN, I can't watch it.
Right.
And there have been times where you can't watch a game, and it is frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's the most frustrating for me, and this goes more for the center ice package, and I think will lead some people to Game Center as an option. I know in my area, wanting to watch the Leaf games, more often than not, when you have a slate of 10 or 11 games, you're only going to get one broadcast because the cable stations will allot 15 channels for the broadcast, and they'll double up and they'll have the 10 o'clock game on the same channel as the 7 o'clock game, but they won't give you home and away broadcasts. And as somebody who watches the Leafs, I would rather watch the Leaf broadcast because it's more having to do with the information for the team that I cover than watching another team's broadcast. But sometimes, more than 50%, I will get Fox Sports Nashville or Fox Sports Arizona. And it really is not as. I mean, some of those broadcasts are very good people. Pete Weber is a great announcer. I like their broadcast, but some of them are concentrating on their teams. They're not concentrating on the team that I cover, and I want to hear the hometown broadcast.
Well, we are in a very weird time right now with cable TV, and as we know, I mean, I go on a show once in a while called Cord Killers, and if you check it out, cordkillers.com, it's a great show, and it's all about the idea of getting away from cable TV in general and how you can get away from cable TV. And I don't propose that I don't want to get away from cable TV. I know. I like cable TV, but the idea of it is we're in this race between the time period when bundling stops, when you get to order things individually as you want them, and there's this really funny circle that's going on because I don't know if you're familiar with Sling TV. Okay, I've been watching not Sling Box, but Sling TV, which is a different thing altogether. I've subscribed to Sling TV, and I always subscribe to these things just sort of check them out. Sling TV is a really cool service. It has ESPN on it. It has about 20 cable networks. You can buy them in bulks, like of 3 or 4. They're sort of put together like a science thing, and you can get it for as cheap as I think $12 a month. It streams to Apple TV. I don't know if it streams to Apple TV. It streams to Amazon TVs or Fire Sticks, or it streams to a Chromecast. There's a lot of ways you can watch this on your regular TV and make it like you have cable. Like we have a shore house. And I don't want to pay for cable because we're only at the shore house once in a while. So instead of that, I use Sling TV down there, and it's a wonderful thing. It has its own little DVR. It's got its own little on-demand. And these things are popping up. PlayStation just came out with one as well. The PlayStation one is really good too. I got a big fight with them. big fight with them, and I'm not allowed to use it anymore. But besides that, it's really. I won't get into the specifics of it, but I got into battle with them because I was taking my PlayStation back and forth between here and the shore, and they said, you're logging in from 2 different IP addresses. I said, I know. I said, well, this would be akin to you bringing your cable box. They said, you can't bring your cable box. I said, no, it's not akin to that at all because you're not a cable company. This is on my PlayStation. This would be like saying I can't play my PlayStation Halo game at the shore and at home. I said,
Halo's not on PlayStation.
Yeah, I just lost all my geek credibility. I knew that as I was saying it.
Don't be technical there, Dan.
Sorry.
The funny thing
but
is
what I'm saying is that, so I got in a fight with them about this, and I actually got into a long discussion with the girl on the phone, and she agreed with me at the end of it. I'm like, what you are doing here, you're trying to be this cable alternative, and at the same time, you are not allowing yourself to be a cable alternative because you're telling me that it's just like taking my cable box, which means you're just another cable company.
I'd like to have a long discussion with a girl on the phone. But no,
let me finish my thought for a sec, Mike, and then I'll let you go. But the idea here, the more I talk to her, the more I continue to realize that we're in this weird era right now of between, like, they don't know what she doesn't know, like, she knows what I'm saying makes sense because I'm like, well, I can use Hulu anywhere I want to. I can use Netflix anywhere I want to. But I can't
wherever you want.
Right, but I can't use your thing wherever I want to. And then I said also, the other thing that gets to me is when I first got the PlayStation thing, I was shocked to see Comcast Sportsnet on it. That was a pretty huge thing, as Russ will know. Like, the Comcast Sportsnet would be on something like that was like crazy because if Comcast Sportsnet is on there, I literally probably can't get rid of cable. I'm thinking to myself, that I can probably do it. But the games are blacked out. So I'm like, what's the point of that? So I'm watching Comcast Sports. My local news is on there, which is kind of cool. That's the cool thing about it. Like, your local news, 3, 6, and 10 in Philly are on there. Well, that's cool. But Comcast Sports is being blacked out. So go ahead, Mike.
I know so many people who are anchored to cable television because of HBO, and now HBO with the pressure that is with the pressure that is going on right now with Netflix and their programming. HBO now has, I think it's called HBO Now.
HBO Go. Or HBO Now. They're two different services.
Go is the storing up of their old shows, but in HBO Now you can watch shows, I believe on demand live.
Right. HBO Go is online service if you have HBO already. Right. HBO Now is in HBO by itself. Just you don't need to have it on cable.
Right. So I mean, you could
like Netflix.
You could unsubscribe from HBO on your cable package, and then go to HBO Now and get it for how many dollars a month it is, and not have to be tethered to your cable company. Which
but as we all know, the authentication thing now is one of the other buffers that's going on at the end. It's another one of these really uncomfortable midpoint things. Like, if you want to watch the NBC app, right, you have to authenticate that you have cable first, right? If you want to watch, if you have kids and want to watch the Disney Channel app, same kind of thing, or what have you have to authenticate that you have cable TV.
Yep. Well, that's the thing I come up with when I want to see video off of, say, TSN or Sportsnet. They ask you for your Canadian cable provider, and obviously I don't have one since I'm in the States, so I'm persona non grata because I can't. The only thing I can think of is getting. Never mind. I could get the cable provider of a friend of mine, and then maybe I could get the video that way.
Or you can do what I do, which is rent a Slingbox from somebody in Canada.
Right.
And which is but that's a little extreme. But for the job I have, I feel like I have to be able to watch TSN and Sportsnet.
I think what this is telling us is if you want to be a competitive network, you have to depend on all forms of media. You can't just be thinking what's on TV, because I've said this many times. People are watching on their phone. People are watching on their tablet. People are streaming through a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Roku or Apple TV. There are so many ways to get your content, and you have to get ahead of that now. And the networks that are not ahead of that are networks that are really struggling.
Yeah, no, and they are, and you almost have to have like a real in-depth knowledge of what's going on. Like,
it's a shame that you have to know all these things.
Right.
Because you've always had to know these things. Like, I've had to know cable rules forever to be able to watch the teams that I want to watch. And it's annoying. I would rather not have to know anything.
And at the end of the day, what's happening here really, besides the fact that we've all fallen into a well, is that it's basically the internet and newspapers, right? This is all. At the end of the day, there's a product, and people want to watch it or read it. and it depends on how they want and how they read it, whether they read it online or they pick up a newspaper or they have a magazine sent to them or they, I don't know, have it read to them over an Amazon thing or have it whatever. It shouldn't matter to the people who are putting the product out how you read it. It should only matter that you read it, right? But the problem is we have middlemen in there that are trying to get their money, right? So the middleman is the issue. The NHL would rather you just buy the games from Game Center and directly and call it a day. They would be fine with that. No one else would get any money, right? But the fact of the matter is they have these long-standing relationships with cable companies. They do want an NHL network to be in hotels. I mean, I've had some crazy, ridiculous stories where you've seen this, Russ, where we go to an NHL hotel at an All-Star game, or and it's not an NHL network's not on the television.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the NHL will fly in somebody. They'll actually put a satellite box on top so that the NHL network gets put onto the TVs in the rooms to not be embarrassed. There's all kinds of crazy things that have happened like this. That is just crazy. I mean, hopefully this relationship with Major League Baseball helps the NHL in that way. We don't know if it will or not, but there's a lot of possibilities that exist here.
I think, too, with all the live programming and original programming that these streaming companies are doing, it's only a matter of time before a sport says, hey, let's stream through Hulu. Let's do our whole package through Hulu or Netflix or something like that. I really think in a few years you're going to see a sport, streaming through one of those companies.
What happens when you do that, Dan, is you are creating another cable network.
You are.
It's going to end up being one of the smaller ones, though, because there are baseball owned by cable networks. There are hockey teams owned by cable networks. But it's going to end up being, like maybe MLS or something like that. That's
like my college is broadcast games live on YouTube.
Right. I mean, that's
not on the network. They're on YouTube live.
I mean, that's live on YouTube is another thing altogether. Like we are live on YouTube right now. That's the live thing is another level altogether.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I know. And so yeah, this is a big day for the NHL fans moving forward.
It is.
It's going to really be a good thing. I have super confidence in Major League Baseball and what they can do with this because they really have gotten out in front of this. They have 162 games to stream per team per year, so they get a lot of practice at it. And they've obviously used. I mean, they do a good job with the extra cameras they have. There's a lot of really cool things when you watch Major League Baseball streaming.
The only thing they don't do a good job, but this is Major League Baseball streaming, it's the sport, is their replays. They still have a long way to go for that. The NHL is actually doing better than them in replays. I'll give them that.
I agree.
Yeah.
All we need is goal line technology, and we'll be in good shape.
I know. I've been bringing it up for years. I don't understand.
If they can do it, if FIFA can adopt goal line technology, and they are behind the times in most things, they're in the 1400s when it comes to technology, then the NHL can develop goal line technology.
FIFA and tennis. I mean, my God, within 5 seconds, if the ball is in or out.
And it doesn't slow down play. If it happens, they hit the official in the ear. Hey, that's a goal. Stop the play.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Goalies obstruct the camera view. They hide the puck. They do all of those things, and technology should be able to see through that. It should.
Right.
Well, I thought there was something that the puck had some sort of like ring on the outside of it, sort of like a coating on the outside of it that across the goal line they would know even if it was obstructed by the goaltender.
The technology's there.
It does exist.
Tables ready at Dave & Buster's. It should work that way.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. I have talked.
I want a single order of wings, thank you.
At Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, there's a really great group that does a lot of sports technology stuff. They were the ones who did the Penguins had their in-game thing. You ever see this, Russ? That was really cool. They where you could watch highlights of the game as it was happening if you're in the arena.
Yes.
And it was really cool. It was an app that they put out, and this was done by a group at Carnegie Mellon. It's really funny, really great Indian woman runs this group. You would never expect in a million years that she would be a sports technology person, but she is. She's totally dressed in Indian garb, and she's completely scientific. But she's done putting sensors inside footballs to help punters with their hang time, all sorts of crazy things that she's done. And they were part of the soccer ball thing. That now you have the soccer ball goes over the line. and they've worked on the puck one too. It definitely exists, and it's ready to go. It just feels like if you can't actually see the puck go on, I don't care what technology exists. There are going to be people that are going to say it didn't go over the line. like I don't care how much it says. Oh, that sensor says it went over the line.
Just get it right. Just get it right.
How can you tell me that if you saw a game and you're like and you hear the thing goes off because the puck's gone across the line and you're looking at the replay and you just don't see how the puck could have possibly gone across the line. There's so much room for error.
Yeah, but you have to trust that. I mean, there's no way around it. It's like a photo finish in racing.
That you see.
No, but you don't see it. A lot of times it takes like the super duper zoom to see it, and you don't see it right away. It takes a long time, but they make the decision way before you see the result. You have to sometimes trust that.
Yeah, but we're talking about a puck inside a glove underneath the player. It's very different than like, okay, you can actually eventually you can see the picture of the puck of the horses on the line.
Well, actually, the goal line technology, they show it. They show the computer rendition of what the computer's seeing, minus hands and bodies and everything like that. They're just showing the ball crossing the line. So if the puck could be in the goalie's glove, the goalie's glove will go away, and they're just showing you where the puck is in the net.
There you go. That's what you need. If you got that, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Well, I know that I bought the Apple.
All right, folks. Let's all three log out again for a second. Sorry, I won't finish the show up here. I think what we're going to do tomorrow. Let's try something else. We got to figure out some other way of doing this because I'm sorry about the echo. It's really just a Google thing, and I think we're going to try some other concepts tomorrow to see if we can get this working.
Wow.
In a different way. We got to. I'm thinking maybe from this point forward we all have to try headphones just for the heck of it and see if that does anything. I don't think it's
proposing this great technology. Yet we know that some NHL arenas have like game clocks that the officials use that are like 30 years old. So
yeah.
Or off-centered ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sat next to the goal judge in the press box.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, you're the goal judge for that goal right there. Got the button.
It's funny. I did the same thing. I was sitting next to the guy who puts the goal light on.
Right.
And you're up in this particular arena. You're up in basically the last row of the 300 level, where I can barely see, the name of the goaltender on the back of his jersey, and he's there to press the light on. And they used to be right behind the net.
Yeah.
But that's valuable.
Right behind the net was I mean, but those are really expensive seats.
Now the goal lights turn on in Toronto, right?
Yep. Yeah. Right. Well, you hear what's going on in the AHL. I heard Dave Andrews, is it right? The guy from the AHL.
Right.
Today, and he was talking about how they're bringing instant replay in, but only for goals going across the goal line at the arena, and it can be challenged. But so they're putting a camera somehow in every arena because in the AHL they don't have a war room, obviously, so they've got to be, and they're doing the best they can there to move.
The problem with that is if you get somebody working for the home team and they're in charge of that camera, then that's going to run into question. Where the NHL, there's nothing in question because they've got a central location. There's no bias. You kind of wonder if there's going to be a bias with that.
Does Major League Baseball have a central location? Is that how it works? Because I know that there was a Yankees game a couple months ago where a player slid into second base. He was safe, but then as he gets up, his momentum carries him off the bag, and his foot comes off or inch and a half. And in that instance, the second baseman for the Yankees had tagged the guy out. Never in the history of baseball would this guy have been called out, but because they had the video of him off the bag and the tag there. Mm-hmm. Now, that was a product of the fact that Yes, who was broadcasting the game, was showing it super, super slow-mo over and over and over. Now, is that available to MLB in their central location, or
it's every camera on all the feeds?
Okay. So, but it depends on the feed, because if it was the Arizona Diamondbacks and they don't have that super slow-mo, then
there's a home feed, an away feed, and a pool feed for every broadcast, and they have access to all three feeds.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think who does replay the best is the ECAC. The way it works for them is one of my friends works as a replay official. So let's say there's a goal in jeopardy. The officials go right behind the penalty box, all the technology is right there, and she's the operator, and she's showing them the replay. The referees are the only people who are looking at it. So the people who made the on-ice call make the final, determine. They determine whether it's a goal or not, and it never leaves the hands of the referees. I really like that.
That's similar to what the NBA and college basketball does. They have the monitor right at the desk there.
Right.
Well, the NFL has that too, but sometimes they're under that hood for like 10 minutes. It's like
I know.
Crazy. Now,
well, the NFL's a whole other animal.
Yeah, that's definitely a whole other animal. I mean, I know we don't want to get into the replay. I mean, I think the NHL is making a big mistake with the replay thing, and the timeout thing. I think that is going to be something that they're going to have to reevaluate. I think the fact that you're going to lose a timeout for this, or you have to use a timeout for this, is ridiculous in the NHL. I think that it should be some other way of penalizing you. But when a team only has one timeout in a game, I think this is a problem, and there needs to, it really is. It's because that's become a strategic part of hockey, and I don't know. I think that's a problem.
Get it? You lost. You should have to have a face-off in the other team's end. I think
something like that. It just doesn't. And maybe you can do it twice a game or something like that is fine. But just like something to actually say
it's really rough to take away in hockey because there's just not enough, and they're using it usually to get their wind.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you if you ask coaches, would you rather have a delayed game penalty or lose a timeout? They'd probably take the penalty.
They would take the penalty, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe you should have that option. I don't know. I've long thought you should.
All the problems today.
Yeah, no, I know. I definitely. I mean, I'm of the mind that you should be able to pick. If you're worried a penalty shot, you should be allowed to decide on a 2-minute power play instead of the penalty shot. I've always thought that was the case. If you wanted to, you could get.
But the penalty shot is more exciting. Why would you take away the excitement?
Not anymore. It isn't.
Yes, it is.
When we were kids, for sure.
No, it's still exciting.
There's too many of them. But anyway, that's another story for another day. We'll get into Jonathan Quick's list tomorrow. Because we're going to cut the show short. But again, this was a really good show. And Dan, thanks so much for everything today, for jumping on with us. And as always, and we'll know more about this tomorrow. Maybe we can get you back on, Dan, as soon as possible to discuss all the implications of this once actually everything comes down.
I'll be interested to see if the NHL Network actually holds televises the press conference today.
Yeah, that's true.
They have some infomercials scheduled.
Yeah, maybe another Oilers episode. But yeah, we'll see, guys. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey, and we will talk to you tomorrow.